Morning, Rosalind. Does your audio work today? I see you're driving, so it's okay if you can't answer, but glad to have you here.
Okay, okay. Good morning. Finally, yes, driving, it's not fun.
Yeah, drive safe.
You did a lot of driving last week, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
It's very interesting to see all your progress and all your ideas, and it's really good. Last week, I did spend some time in with artificial intelligence, some various courses, trying to pick up more so I could get some routines and to get leads that are not reached the owners yet to help out with
Frank might be good to talk to on that. That's perfect. I'm interested in what you're finding out. I just started a social media marketing automation book that I've gotten a few good things out of in the first couple chapters already.
oh wow,
You're cutting out a little bit. It's hard to understand what you're
oh,
saying.
that's interesting. Yeah, you're posting regularly and it's always fun and interesting.
Okay,
uh,
good. I'm never quite sure, but it's nice to have some feedback.
yeah, no, it's always everybody enjoys it who does it.
Very good. Trying to get better every day with it. It's weird putting yourself out there all the time. So, what's up, Kyle?
Good morning, Chad. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Josie and I are making a bunch of noise as we're getting out of the house and headed to that can just go inside. Headed to Veterans Morning Breakfast.
Oh, cool. That should be fun, huh?
So that should be good fun. Um, but just take the dog with us in the car, and he whines like a stinking baby until he actually physically gets in the car. So I was trying to avoid all the whimpering and whining.
I can relate. My dog whines a lot in the car until you drive for a while and then he settles down.
Oh, he Magnum doesn't. He just whines like he's being left behind. So yeah, he thinks until he physically gets in the car, he's going to be left behind. So he's always stressed about the situation.
Yeah, I think they just don't want to be left. My dog, I noticed that as soon as somebody gets out, he starts whining like crazy. He just wants to go with. And I took him out of the car once and he was fine. Once he saw he could look around, see where the people had gone inside, he settled down. I think he just doesn't want to be left.
Yeah, yeah, he's just a goofball. Um, so give the selfless plug for this weekend's event.
But yeah, I was gonna bring that up for sure. And do some putting that flyer out there too this week to see if we can get some more people there.
Yeah, I did a boost up on um, LinkedIn, so that should hit. My boost ins usually hit about 3 million people on LinkedIn. So
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Tell me how
I'm
to do
so
that.
bummed. Congratulations, Chad, for being invited to talk there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
That
I'm
is so
excited.
nice. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be at a wedding.
No way. Damn.
Yes. I'm like, isn't that terrible? I mean, I've known about this wedding for, 8 months. So
Yeah, it
no way
happened.
around it. But I'm so bummed. I wish I could be in two places at once.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, I wish you could be there too.
All right. So have a great time. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it should be cool. I'm like, that's gonna be awesome. Brandon Turner there. I've been wanting to meet that guy forever. So I knew if I stuck with it long enough, I'd cross paths eventually, right?
That's awesome.
hmm How was your week?
It was pretty good. It wasn't as as productive, but I did go down to the Travis auction on last Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
So it was just a good experience. It was interesting to go. You know, there's not a lot of activity in Austin.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there were like, I think there were two different auctioneers. One had two houses, so that was that. And then I think the other had like seven or something, maybe.
Hmm.
So yeah,
If you could drive to Dallas or Houston, maybe.
yeah, it's time. I think it's really time to start to do some of that. I've been trying to do local, but it's
They're
yeah.
not, and they're kind of boring. But the first time I didn't bring business cards, and then the second time, I was handing them out to the guys winning the auctions, and they started calling me right away. So they're in my CRM now for premium buyers. But
Ah, yes, that was yes. So yeah. Anyway,
cool.
it was good. It was interesting.
It is
And then just
interesting.
following up on a couple of leads and nothing cooking yet. Still trying to make $1. Ah,
Yeah, well, keep the gas lit, and eventually you'll be cooking, right?
I guess so. I guess so.
Well, cool. That's a fun thing. I was hoping a few more people would be here. I'll give it a couple minutes, I guess. But how about Tom, Kyle? You guys got any wins for your week? Rosalind too? Rosalind's driving, so I don't know if she'll be able to talk.
Well, yeah, I didn't get any concrete leads, but several that are more than warm, hopefully. But they at least have numbers that look good and people who are responding. But there's still most of the leads that I get are so long time horizon to develop to where they're out of options to where they have to sell, and it's a waiting game and trying to keep up with them. But I am trying to follow up more with using AI for all my workflows. I was in a meeting with Manny. He spoke, I think, 2 weeks ago or so on our little chat. He's been going around a lot of the big dog groups, talking to them about incorporating AI and making sure that it's the information is secure and all that. So
Who's doing that?
Manny Huerta.
It's funny you bring that up. Rosalind was just talking about this, and then I just started learning for social media marketing automation, one of Dan's Kennedy books. So that's all interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously all businesses are incorporating AI in whatever way they can, but there's a lot of ways that I feel like it can help me, because I don't have a lot of time to just digest all the information. You get all these lists and you never really you can look through the list and try to figure out which of the leads that make sense somehow by looking them up online and seeing whether if they were sold last year, there's not much equity, so you're going to have to do a certain kind of approach with them. And then if they were sold 10 years ago, sometimes those are a little more savvy owners. They stay ahead of the game a lot further, so they'll reach out a lot sooner. And you have to nurture those, but those are the ones with equity. So and if they're not on the foreclosure list per se, but they just got put on the substitute trustee, that that's usually a little longer time horizon.
Oh,
I found
yeah.
a lot of people are getting loan modifications where they typically wouldn't before. I think that the mortgage companies are being a lot more lenient with people. I've had a number of leads that were maybe they only in the house 3 years and they were 6 months behind, but somehow the mortgage company was still giving them a reinstatement plan and that kind of thing to push off their foreclosure. So that's one of the suggestions before, to kind of prompt through. You go through all the checklist of all the things they could have already done to help them their situation. And that's one of them that usually you could be pretty confident they would have already done. But I'm finding a lot of my leads are just reaching out to their mortgage company and getting pretty quick responses back with positive, feedback. Even if their situation to me doesn't make sense that they would do
Yeah.
that, but I think they're really reticent to go to foreclosure in this market for whatever reasons. It does cost them money and time and all that to foreclose on a property, I guess, but they're even more reticent to do that, it seems, in the Houston area anyway.
I've noticed a little bit similar, more people talking about loan mods.
Mhm.
And now that you say that, it brings up an interesting point, I think, makes me want to jump on call tonight with Chris Alcido.
Mhm.
Because he's talking about how most loan mods, they're like designed to fail, basically. And it was designed to
Yeah.
space it out for the banks. So I'm wondering if that's starting to happen a little bit, because the foreclosures have gone way up this year compared to last. So I'd be curious to see his thoughts on that.
Yeah, I talked with Chris actually. He's one of my coaches. Our coaching call was last week. I talked to him about that. He said, "Yeah, it could be that they are trying some kind of a strategy, like you suggested there. That
Yeah.
they've had so many foreclosures, they have so many bank-owned properties maybe in their portfolio that they're not looking to add any without some kind of either spreading it out, like you say, spreading out the inevitable, or in some cases, people find a way to make this reinstatement plan, and they
Yeah,
they can't.
sometimes.
And I found a lot of people. I've found quite more than I would expect, where they were able to make a reinstatement payment all in a lump sum just because they hadn't thought about taking a 401k withdrawal. And I'm you always ask the question: do you have an asset somewhere? Do you have a car sitting in your driveway that's paid for that you could sell to get this? Because you're either way, you can buy another car that's cheaper or whatever to get you by, but your mortgage payment, if you can make this and avoid the foreclosure, even if you end up having to move somewhere, because you just can't keep up, that's a way to postpone the imminent foreclosure. And at least two out of my leads in the last month have somehow just came back and said, yeah, we found a way to do this or that, or sell an insurance policy, or
Wow.
there's lots of ways people can generate cash they hadn't even thought about until you start going through the list of things that we've been trained to go through, assuming that they would have already done all that. But it's strange that people don't even think about some of those things.
It's interesting about the 401k thing, because as I know we're not financial planners, but I'll let me make a disclaimer. I am not a financial planner. But
Or an
it is,
attorney.
or an attorney, or a home inspector. But when I think about that strategy, it just popped into my head, like that, if you take out a 401k loan to save your house, you still have to pay back your 401k or you get that huge penalty, right?
The way it works is you pay a penalty of 10% for an early withdrawal if you're 59 and a half or younger,
Right.
when you take funds out. In order to avoid that penalty, you have a certain period of time. And like I said, like you said, I'm not a financial planner, but there is a certain period of time that you can actually pay that money back. I think it's 12 months. If you can pay it back within a calendar year, you don't have to claim the withdrawal.
The income and
Didn't know that.
So it's a 10% penalty. So if you were to take 20 grand out to pay a reinstatement, you would end up with a $2,000 penalty,
right,
for early withdrawal.
Yeah.
Now you still have to claim it as income because it's a 401k has not been taxed.
Right.
So if you do the math, in order to get a net of 20 grand, you're going to have to take out closer to 30 grand, by the time you get all your taxes and penalties.
You can also do that loan. I've always done that with mine. It's 50,000 or half, whichever is lower, and then you pay it back with interest. So it's not taxed. It benefits your 401, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you you can organize a loan with interest, like Chad mentioned, that's
Yeah.
different than just paying it back. If you can pay it back within the same calendar year, I believe, then you don't have to do any kind of interest or anything. You just basically you use the money for a few months or whatever you needed it.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know
That
that.
has to
The other,
cost.
go ahead, Lisa.
No, so I just wanted just to finish my thought though, is that, you know, if you're looking at like a longer term on your timeline for money, I just don't know, like, I mean, I guess somebody would get counsel, but if you can never pay that money back, or you are out that money and you only have $100,000 in your 401k, you've just like, if you look at the pros and the cons of taking the hit on your house versus like your long-term money growth.
It should be a no-brainer if somebody's facing foreclosure and they can take some money out of their 401k to avoid that. I mean, I always tell somebody, that should be a no-brainer because you're going to cost yourself a whole lot more than whatever penalties you're paying on that 401k. Yeah, you're going to, the long-term growth and all that is going to disappear as well. But,
The foreclosure.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
the foreclosure is.
But where I'm going with that too is that if these folks don't have the funds to, like, if they don't have the funds to pay their mortgage today, taking out a 401k or selling your property, selling your assets is only going to postpone an inevitable thing unless there's been a major change in your financial situation. So is that
True.
really sound advice?
Well, what I always tell them is, look, and if something has significantly changed in your income and you know that that's going to continue, then this could be a way out of it that allows you to stay in your house.
Yes, yes.
If you're not, if it's a way to avoid the foreclosure and arrange for a sale of your house that's more orderly than a last minute, 70-cent deal for an investor, then it makes sense to do that. Because if you can, just put it off for another 2 or 3 months, a lot of times you can get a whole lot better offer for your situation. Because whoever's going to come and buy it isn't going to have to just plunk down all 100% cash. You have a loan, especially if it's a loan that's in good terms. If it's got a 3% interest rate on it, and they have about 60% equity or 40% equity, let's say, in their situation, then you're going to be able to put together a much better situation for them, as long as you can assume that loan. Because if you let it foreclose, then the loan's gone. So if you can get them to keep the loan going and assume that, or buy it subject to that loan, that's a much more valuable deal, for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Makes me think of this is like a big objection to overcome, right? That you kind of have to make it make sense for them that they're just going to screw themselves over if they keep with this. We're putting together seller information packets that we keep making better, and one of them is why loan mods failed most of the time.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because I have that discussion with them, say, okay, you're talking about a loan mod. A lot of times they don't get approved, but even if they do, you got to seriously look at the numbers to make sure that it makes sense for you long term to do this. It may be a very good short term solution, but you still need to be thinking about the long term. If you're going to be paying, you have a 20 grand reinstatement and they're going to maybe finance that out over, say, a year, you're going to be paying a lot of extra money. You're going to be paying over $1,000 a month extra over your $1,000 or $2,000 payment, which you were not able to make before. So the chances of you being successful in finishing that out are slim, but that can buy you enough time to do a better deal.
Another thing to take into perspective on that with the IR is if you did end up not being able to pay that back, and you also had to pay the IRS, and you couldn't pay the IRS, now you have an additional 7% interest on the money that you owe the IRS if you couldn't pay them back as well. So it could be exacerbation on exacerbation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how much you can take out, because you do obviously have to take out enough to cover what your commitment for the mortgage is, plus the taxes. And like I said, there's, most people are going to have 22% or something taken out to cover the taxes. And by the time that $20,000 withdrawal turns into a $30,000 withdrawal,
They just
and
drain
that's
everything.
you're going to take it all in one year.
Yeah.
We
And
met this-
that doesn't make sense for it doesn't make sense long term for people's retirement plans, for sure. But
Yeah, well, that's
if
what
you're
I was, there, that's.
if you're
that's kinda
facing
what
if you're facing foreclosure, and that's a way to get into a better situation, you may make that $7,000 or $8,000 that you're going to take as a hit, you may make back instantly if you were to sell your house.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
But if somebody did end up having to go through the foreclosure, if they were in a position where they ended up getting foreclosed on, more than likely their tax position is probably not the worst of their
True.
worries at the moment. So,
yeah.
I mean, they may not end up paying tax on that withdrawal from their IRA anyway.
Mhm, mhm.
Could be, depending on what other expenses they had. If they were in this position because of a medical expense that's a
Sure.
deductible thing, that is something to consider too. But, right, there's lots.
The guy
of
down
reasons.
here in Florida who drug it out so long he had $180,000 reinstatement, and it ended up being a short sale. But he could have, saved it earlier. I think he ended up going to foreclosure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a guy right now and he's playing that game. And
So
he's
bueno.
he's $130,000 or $40,000, just like, I don't know. He seems to have had 9 lives with his house and foreclosures. So I don't know, maybe he gets lucky one more time, but
Run into a few of
Okay.
those myself.
Problems just snowball, over time if they don't deal with it, right?
It's
yeah.
hard to understand how sometimes the mortgage companies just let these go so long. It doesn't make any damn sense to me, but I don't understand why they do. But yeah, I've run into a couple. Most people are, somewhere between. I've even had somebody reach out. They were only like $3,500 behind, and I'm like,
Wow.
man, there's got to be a way you can come up with $3,500, even if it's,
I think
stop
so.
paying other bills, stop paying your car payments, or start paying something else. Because if you do declare bankruptcy, your mortgage is still going to have to, be accounted for. You can't just discharge that kind of a thing, and they can't repossess your home, without the foreclosure, right? They can repossess a car or whatever, and you can replace that. But yeah.
The least worst.
But yeah,
Reminds me of, I was going to tell you guys about this deal we're doing too. This lady only has like a $5,000 reinstatement.
Mhm.
So she's been paying for 20 years on this loan. It's actually a deed for contract, or a contract for deed. And she never recorded the deed. She could have it, but she never did. So it's from a company named Landco that developed the land that she's on down in Kaufman. So she only owes like $16,000 on this, and then she quit paying on it. Tuesday morning, we've been talking to them since last week, or 2 weeks ago, but Tuesday morning we were able to intercept them as they were sending it to the substitute trustee,
Wow.
and we got them to stop it. We were like, oh crap, she's gonna have to like sprint in and file bankruptcy, was like the last ditch effort, but we got it stopped. So now the problem lies because it was a contract for deed. It was never recorded. What we're having to do from the title company is they're like, we won't provide title insurance if you do this contract for deed, and we don't like that. So now we're having to work with Landco that originally structured this. We got the lady to sign us the contract for deed. Then we're having to go ahead and record the deed, record the assignment, and turn it into a traditional loan. So that's what we're working on. We have till December 2nd now. But it's only $5,000. I got a partner in on it, and I said I'll 50-50 with you down the road. We're gonna do a 30-year lease back with this lady, and if she defaults, I told her we're gonna have to evict you, lady. She's convinced me that she has the income now. They have like $3,000 a month with no other bills really. She made some dumb choices to stop paying, but as long as she can pay us like $500 a month, should be cool. So our worst case scenario is all in, if we paid off the loan and everything, we're only in it for like $20,000, and the land right
Yeah.
now is worth maybe 80. But if you just let it sit there until they both pass away, we're gonna have ownership of it, and 20 to 30 years from now, I'm sure this land's gonna be worth more than $80,000. So it just seems like a long-term, really low risk, kind of really boring deal that
Yeah.
in 20 years we'll probably get a couple
You won't be
$100,000.
saying it's boring in 20 years.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be very exciting at that point.
I'd like to get paid today, but this one's like that's really low risk. It seems like really easy. So we'll see how it goes. And she owns her own mobile home. We're not responsible for any maintenance or anything on it. It's just a land play.
Personal property.
Yeah. And then we have this other one going with why am I drawing a blank on her name?
Rosie.
Grant. No, Grant and good God, the Spanish closer. Anyway, she's awesome if I can remember her name. Major brain fart here. Yeah, so we've been playing this like this back and forth with this crazy lady. She made us think this husband was like this awful man who wanted him out on the streets and all this. And you talk to the guy and you're like, whoa, this lady's nuts. It's not the lady, it's the dude.
Yeah.
So it's like all focusing on her if she'll agree to sell this house or not. And she keeps like coming around and backing out. Sabrina Lopez. Jesus, sorry. So yeah, if you guys need Spanish closer, she's phenomenal. She's in Houston. And then I think I'll have a short sale specialist on next week or the one after. So invite all your friends, right? A quick thing I wanted to hit on was I got a lot out of a video I put in the link here. Oops. And can you guys all see that? I don't know if I need to repost it in the chat after everybody joined, but
Yeah, it's not there for me, so.
I can't see it either.
there you
Oh,
go.
I see the link. I see the link. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's Layla Hermosi. She's talking about systems. We're all about systems this year. We're trying to hit one a month so we get fully systematized. And she's talking about every system needs a trigger, a process, and tracking.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah.
That link that you put in there is taking me to the Zoom.
Oh,
Right.
well, then that's the wrong one. Never mind that link. Here
Oh, yeah, it is.
is the correct link.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was
Please
cool.
continue.
It's like she's talking about systematizing her life, her marriage, and everything. The first time I heard that, it was Brandon Turner talking about he has a system for his pantry.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000?
Everything,
Because
right?
I use
But,
Amazon AI.
I got a lot out
I'm
of
going
that.
to show you later.
So the system that has a trigger process tracking, and I wanted to share my into the data reports. Which I've really been enjoying the crap out of from our VAs. So this is standard across everybody who's working for us now, and we're trying to bring them all to this level, but this is the one I really like. It's the end of day report. They show how many, it's detailed, so you can see exactly what's going on, and then we can go into our dialer and it matches. As well as blockers, tomorrow's plan, and then when they logged in and they logged out. And then it goes all into that KPI sheet I gave you too. But
Interesting.
yeah, so that's been really nice. With the systems, I just heard in the Dan Kennedy book I mentioned, I started on automation and whatnot. He said they've seen a lot of people work really, really hard, and a lot of people get really, really rich. And there's the single golden thread was the less randomness, the more success. So it boils down to systems, right? And then Sunday, I'm always like, how do I make my time more efficient? Because then this goes back to Brandon Turner 5 years ago when I first heard him say, and this is how I went from 30 units to 13,000 in 5 years. It's all systems and 80-20 Pareto principle on your time, make your time more efficient. So on Sunday, I finally sat down and I planned my full week out on the calendar with focus blocks and everything for the first time. And I've been for years wanting to get that done. I woke up this morning and my computer ate it. It's all gone off my calendar. I'm like, oh, I know where it's at. It's in my head, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious, is the market thawing out a little bit? We started to get a little bit more activity on a couple showings and whatnot, and the interest rates came down 0.5 point. But it's also going into our slow season. So to me, it's time to buy stuff still. And then this spring, I think it'll hopefully thaw out. Other than that, we got the Rosie auction in the works. Hopefully we're gonna get paid for that soon. And this weekend with Brandon Turner is going to be the guest speaker where I'm at. So that's exciting. And please spread the word. We need more butts and seats over there. So looking forward
That's
to
an
doing that.
That's an Austin area. Is that where was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Chad and I are speaking at that engagement.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just so bummed, you guys. Darn.
I wish you were going to be there. That'd be cool.
Oh, all right, whatever. I got to get over it.
I'm trying to find the link to that too. Kyle, do you have it handy?
I don't actually, I do have it handy. Hold on.
I think actually I just
It's
found it too.
amplifythelight.com.
And I'm going to drop it in the chat here for you guys. So
And
Oh,
if you
that's
guys
not it.
want, what?
That's the wrong one.
Yeah,
Damn it.
you having copy and paste issues this morning?
A little bit apparently.
Amplifythelight.com. And if you guys want to go, you can get 50% off the tickets with my discount code Kyle50.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, now I got the link. There's the link. And Kyle50. I haven't done a lot of public speaking, so I'm looking forward to it. And I remember years ago I heard Warren Buffett say one of the best things he ever did for his career was take Dale Carnegie's public speaking class. So I went and took the
Oh,
class.
yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was fun. I highly recommend it.
I love public speaking. Isn't that so funny?
Really?
I mean, I haven't done it in a long time, but I love being up in front of people.
You know, that's like the most scared thing ever for most people. It's like terrified of public speaking, right?
So I'll just share with you a little story. So when I was a young little girl, I wouldn't even say the word boo in front of my parents at the dinner table. And over the years, my friends nudged me to do a little, try out for this school play and try out for that school play. And then I got to college, and then they said you should run for this little office in the business fraternity. And then slowly I came out of my shell. And now they looked at me, they were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, can't tell you. Don't know what happened."
My daughter's big into theater, and it's crazy what she'll do. We were at a restaurant and they had outdoor music, and there was a guy singing karaoke. I think I said this before. She's like, "Dad, can I go ask that guy if I sing? If I can
Oh,
sing?"
yeah, you said yes.
I'm like, "Yeah, but you might be up there singing." She's like, "Cool." And then she goes and does it. I was like, "Oh, I'm impressed. I wouldn't do that."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the way I sing.
I don't know why I like it now. I mean, I haven't done it in a long time, but I would love to. Like, one of my bucket list things is to speak in front of 10,000 people.
That's cool. I had 5,000 in mind. And the reason it was a 5,000 threshold is I don't know if you guys ever listened to Jason Stapleton when he had a podcast, but that guy was super awesome. I got so much out of his podcasts, and he told me, yeah, I went and signed up at this thing because there was 5,000 people speaking, or 5,000 people there. So I just wanted to get in front of 5,000 people. I think he flew to London to do it. And I was like, whoa, that's ballsy. Like, wow, that's cool.
Anyway, little story.
Yeah, that's awesome. 10,000 people would be pretty cool.
I don't know when that's going to happen, but it is out there.
That'd be a big ass audience.
I mean, once you're at 5,000 or 10,000, I don't know if it really makes that much difference.
What's the difference? Yeah.
I mean, you can't see them anyway. The lights are shining. I don't know.
I mean, most people that do that kind of thing, they always say, well, you always pick a few people out in the crowd that you're speaking to, more or less, that appear to be engaged and whatever, and friendly or whatever.
Right.
You focus on you could scan the crowd, but you're not focused on just one, but
Yeah.
maybe three or four different friendly looking faces, and
That makes
act
sense.
like you're having a conversation with them.
It's not the guy evil eyeing you in the back, flipping you off.
Yeah. You want to ignore the people that are going to be like, hostile or whatever. But
You picture everybody naked too, right?
Yeah, I mean, nah, I've never done anything like that. But
Yeah, I don't
I've
want to
never
picture
spoken
everybody
before.
naked.
Maybe 500 people was the most I've ever, had in a room uh, for a chat. But and it's mostly just boring technical stuff. That's engineering type of
Well,
presentation.
hello there, sir.
You out of here,
Look at
Kyle?
you, all
Yeah,
dressed
we were
up.
walking into the restaurant, so we'll chat soon.
Have a
All
great
right.
breakfast,
Okay.
man. Thanks
Nice
for
to
being here.
see you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Tom, that was the engineer stuff you spoke with?
Yeah, like technical presentations at oil field related
Mm,
symposiums, like International Association of Directional Drillers and SPE and Society of Petroleum Engineers and some, that kind of thing. I've always worked in the oil field, and technology in the oil field is kind of what all these were based on. The discussion.
mhm.
So yeah, your typical just boring back in the day PowerPoint, presentation type things. Nothing too fancy like you would have today.
I got to show you a major takeaway I got from the Carnegie thing.
Oh,
Mhm.
yay.
So they made us draw the number 97, a slash, and 3. And then they made us circle 97 and put a slash through it.
Okay.
They said 97% of presentations are boring or technical. And you
Yeah.
have to pledge from now on, you'll never ever again be in that 97%.
Right. Yep.
Really?
That is a lot tougher thing than you would think.
Now, I have a question about that though. Like, that's interesting that the coaching on that is, can't you somehow make it interesting in some way? Like, to 97% of topics are not to do? That's really,
Yeah. Well, it's not the topic, it's the presentation, right?
Yeah.
And
oh,
people like to hear stories. So it's a lot
oh,
about
oh.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to find a way to make it
To
relevant,
make it interesting.
whatever
Yes.
they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Or
For
to
sure.
their situation, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's that is challenging for sure, especially
Yeah.
when you're just talking about, uh, scientific sort of,
Well, and it's also interesting because, see, the audience that you have, also those people are typically, like,
Yeah.
personality wise, right? There's like typically there's like an overarching personality type. And if you're speaking to people who are in areas where it's kind of dry, they might, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be it's a hard ask,
the
right?
audience, the larger the audience, the more likely you are to have non-technical people in the
That's
audience,
true. That's
right?
true.
So
Sure.
you have to tailor, like if you're in a boardroom with 5, high level engineers, you can have a different discussion than you would if you were in a room with 500 people who may or may not have any clue about what the topic is that you're talking about, so
For sure. Yeah.
you definitely have to realize that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I have another thing. Can I share? I'm very
Yeah.
chatty today.
Hey, go for it. That's why we're here.
So the other thing I did do, so I was on the Tuesday night call last week,
Rose up.
and so I actually made a call to somebody who has money, right, to get some investor. I mean, I actually like finally did the homework, week 4 into the first week's assignment. Anyway, so that was good, just reaching out to people that said that they were interested in funding deals. So I was trying to do that. So that was another.
Very cool. Did you pre-sell them or prime the pump?
What do you mean?
So most of the capital raising I've done in the past has been awkward and direct ask on deals, and most people say no. But if you do there's different methods of this. One guy I took a little capital raising workshop kind of for a week from. He's also a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he raised $150 million, and he said his $100 million line is when he's talking to friends, family, new people, whatever. He'll kind of mention what he does, and then he'll say, if you know anybody who might be interested in passive investments with this, would you please let me know? And a lot of times they'll be the ones interested. And I did this, and it worked on a friend of mine. Or Phil says, if I ever run into any great deals, would you like to
Yeah, yeah.
see them or whatever? And if so, how do you present them? And I did that right after I learned it to my business partner. He's like, yeah, I want to see good deals. And then I did it to
Yeah.
another friend, and it was like throwing candy at a kid or something. It was
Yes.
like, yeah, of course I want to see a good deal, So it's not awkward like that. And it makes
I
it
got-
more so much smoother.
So actually, I guess I did that by default. I don't know. I just called him and said, hey, I saw you on the call, and you mentioned that you were interested in, funding deals. And I said, so like, what kinds of things do you look for? And yeah. And that was it. I just kind of established a connection.
Well,
So,
that's a good
so
area to hang out with. You already got like the hot lead right there, right?
right. Well, right. So yeah, I didn't go with him and say, hey, I've got this thing like hanging. I need money now. No, so I didn't do that. Yeah.
Cool.
I
Right.
just did the warm call. So anyway, that was good. I was happy about that. So I got one.
Nice.
I'm on the slow growth path.
As long as you're on the growth path, that's like
Oh
really
my
matters,
God, it's
right?
gonna take it feels like it's gonna take a long time.
It is. Like you don't
Yeah.
get at this overnight, right?
Yeah. It's
Oh, sorry.
short-term, not a short-term commitment. And that should be clear to most people by the time they're 3 months in. You
Well,
should
but
be.
that's the thing. I thought it was gonna be faster, and then now I paid all this money, and 3 months in, I'm like, oh,
Oh crap.
exactly. Oh crap, is right.
Me too, because you see Phil up there and he's like, I've done thousands of deals. I just like do them in my sleep all the time. They're everywhere, right?
Yeah, they just come right at him, right?
Well, 20 years
Yeah.
later, yeah, you can do that.
Well,
Yeah.
see, that's just, so anyway, whatever. So yeah, it's just been,
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
It's out there. It's a grind though, and have you read the book Outliers?
Yes,
It's so
yes.
good. And
It's a
it talks
great
about
book.
every book that guy writes is awesome.
Yeah.
But he talks about the overnight success, and it actually takes 10,000 hours to become an overnight
Yeah.
success, right?
Yes, yeah, right.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I haven't read that book, but yeah,
It's
any task that you're going to be good at, you have to do it 10,000 times before you're actually going to see success.
right. But the other thing that was so fascinating about that book and the story is that like the timing, like, he talked about like, when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and these people, right? Like there was a perfect storm of timing, right? So it's like when you
Yeah.
were born and the years that you were doing the work, and there's like a window of time, like when Wozniak, it's Wozniak, whatever his name is, and Steve Jobs and all these people, right? They were all young people at the same time, in a window of time where that took off.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting because it was a combination, right, of things plus the 10,000 hours.
Plus circumstances.
Right. But circumstances had a really huge impact.
Yeah.
Some of it is just timing.
I don't feel lucky about really much of anything except for being in the United States because there's so much opportunity here versus a lot of countries don't have any opportunity like we do.
Mhm.
But it also makes me think of Donald Trump and Warren Buffett. Like Trump's first project was this massive hotel with all these huge millions of dollars, but he was indoctrinated in that. His dad built 24,000 units and had all these political connections, so of course he's going to be in that. And then Warren Buffett, his dad was in stocks, and
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. There's very few people that are just sort of, like you say, they're born into a circumstance which they may not recognize even at the time, but it really was not lucky, but it was, fortunate that they were born in that. Guys like Elon Musk, if you ever read his story, I highly recommend you read one of his 2 biographies just to understand
I didn't know
what
he had
it takes.
biographies.
There's one that Walter Isaacson wrote. He's a famous biographer. His is more late in life, but it covers all of the business sort of travails that Tesla and SpaceX and all the businesses that he went through. He started with PayPal, and there's lots of lessons about risk taking. That man took risks that were just unbelievable. But and at the last minute, he had to save all of those companies at the very last minute with financing arrangements and all kinds of things. And the way he went about doing it was so incredibly risky. But everybody just thinks he's the richest man in the world just because he was lucky and whatever. There's nobody that ever worked
by accident.
there was never anybody who worked as much as that guy did. He would spend 3 months and never leave Tesla or SpaceX.
Yeah, he'd sleep there, right?
He slept there under his desk when he was barely starting out, and then he had a couch in his office, and he would sleep in his office. And he was there when everybody showed up. He was already there on the floor when everybody was ready to leave. Most people wouldn't want to leave because he wasn't leaving. And so he got everybody there to work insane hours and and be invested. He got people to be invested in his business. I'm sure to the detriment of their own personal lives in a lot of cases. But you want to talk about somebody who has a very interesting story. He had absolutely nothing handed to him. So his story is different than somebody like Trump and et cetera, but it just shows you don't have to have things handed to you. You could say he was, in the right place at the right time, but I think you could also say he recognized opportunities when they were there.
Well, for sure. He's quite an entrepreneur, right?
NASA basically getting out of the business of space travel and et cetera, set up the chance for a company like SpaceX to fill that void. And it was not easy. He had lots of people working against him, and it's an interesting story for sure. Most people
can't wait to buy that book. And what I was doing,
I buy them off Kindle. I have the Kindle versions of all these, so I go back and I'll read them when I'm on an airplane somewhere or doing something. I go back and read parts of them.
Love books, man. I usually read 3 to 5 books at any given moment, and this is my current stack right now. So,
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that book you recommended right after we hang up. Now I'll be on Amazon ordering Elon Musk book. I didn't know
there's another one. There's another one that covers his boyhood life up through college mostly, and the initial stages of his starting businesses with his brother. And it's that one's also very interesting. It just covers a different part of his life.
Wow.
He became a pretty public figure whenever he was already kind of doing his business deals and all that, and he married some interesting women, let's say, over time.
He has like 50 kids, right?
Actors. He's got 12, I think it is now, or maybe 13. And he convinced the most recent one is somebody who worked for him that wanted to have kids but didn't want to get married, and he somehow was married at the time, and somehow got this woman, pregnant.
Somehow,
I don't know how.
Okay.
He's a very interesting.
He thought about it, and she got pregnant.
He's like that. It's AI.
I was married, and I don't think his wife thought that was so great, but they still are all kind of like they're all their kids get together, and it's a wild story how he kind of pieces together his very unique personality and dealing with all of his relationships over the years and whatnot. It's very interesting. It's very odd. I would not recommend him as a model for most people's how to run your life and work-life balance and all these things, but just to understand that mindset that it took for him to be, as successful as he is, the most successful person in the world, it shows you it does take a lot of commitment.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I saw him sleeping in the White House too when he's on Doge, but we were at a family dinner with like family friends and whatnot, and I was talking about his latest kid, I think, and
Mhm.
one of our friends, she's like, "Oh my God, he's so gross, never, whatever." And I would never do that. I was like, I would. Like, those are some good genes. I mean, that guy is like, yeah, I want, like, if spread the seed, like, how many
Yeah, well,
kids
that's
can
his
this
point.
dude have? We want the world full of this dude's
That's
genes.
his ideas. He wants to leave his mark, and he wants to have, repopulate the planet. He's doing his
Yeah.
that's one of his goals, and
Dozen
birth
kids on
rate.
Mars.
Yeah, birth rate is something that he sees as a big catastrophe we're facing, and
It
but
is.
he's
Yeah.
doing his part for sure.
Wow.
But yeah, and it goes through all of what kind of weaponized him to get more involved in politics is is laid out in the book, because he really wasn't involved too much during when this was written 4 or 5 years ago. It was written right around the time of the pandemic, I believe. Isaacson's book.
Mhm.
But he had a son that was behind his back, was transitioned, and not I don't think surgically, but was basically put down that path by his school and people involved in his school, and
It's like a
that
trend.
really radicalized him about government intervention and family things, and is that was what kind of opened his eyes that, oh, I need to pay more attention to things other than just my businesses that I'm running or whatever, because he had things going on in his own life that were
I've
very
wondered about that. Did you see
concerning.
him on Joe Rogan, the latest one?
Yeah, I did see that.
That was
It was
really
a
good,
very
I thought.
interesting talk. He didn't talk about that, but he did talk about that subject, but he didn't talk about the fact that he had his own son was uh, you know,
Transitioned.
it
Yeah, I
was,
feel like it's a PC trend going on with a lot of
well,
that.
it surely is some kind of, contagion type thing,
Yeah.
but it's a mass psychosis, they call it, or whatever. But
Have you ever seen Gad Sad? You guys ever heard of that guy?
yeah.
Gad sat. No, never heard of that guy.
He's cool.
Empathetic. Yeah. It calls it, uh, his latest book talks about empathy that's suicidal empathy. And
Oh.
Have you
it's
seen the sad
basically
truth?
suicidal empathy. It's basically based on people who are good people that want to do good things get taken advantage of to their own detriment, and um, there's a lot of cases of government interventions and stuff like this, that you're being so tolerant to bringing in people who are working against your own interests. You want a virtue signal to say, I'm a good person, I'm going to be inclusive of everybody's mindset, but
Mhm.
there's a line there, and he talks about that. If you have an organization, would you let three people in hire three people in your organization that were there to tear it down? Would you do that? No, but we do that all the time in our own lives. We let people into our lives that don't work to our benefit, right? And he talks
Mm.
about he's a Canadian citizen, and so he talks about Canada was always about 10 years ahead of the Americans as far as letting in foreigners, and the welfare state is the welfare state is the biggest draw for people that are either that realistically do have a need to get out of their situation, and it's a way to get on your feet. And then there's other people that just come and take advantage of it for their whole lives and don't ever really benefit the
Yeah.
country they go to, right? And he talks about the fact that, yeah, it's good to give a hand out to people that really want it and deserve it and will work for your benefit in your organization. Those are people you want in your organization or your country or whatever it is you're talking about. But anybody who's just looking for a handout and is never going to be a productive part of your organization, you really, it's suicidal to bring them into your organization, even if it is kind of for empathetic reasons in your own mind, right?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's a psychologist, and he grew up in Lebanon,
Mm.
He's
Yeah.
a Jewish guy from Lebanon,
Oh, yeah.
and when he was a kid, they had to flee Lebanon whenever the Islamists took over Lebanon, and so they
I
went to
was reading
Kenya.
his book, The Sad Truth, and he was
Yeah,
talking about that. He said,
yeah.
yeah, they had to like hide under suitcases, but he remembers being a kid, and
Mhm.
the teacher was like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And they're going around the class, and one of the kids was like, "I want to be a Jew killer when I grew up,"
Oh my
and he's Jewish,
God.
right? So that's like
Yeah,
you have to deal with it.
yeah. And he still goes, still has those experiences. I'm sure there's lots of people that now that he's a famous person. I'm sure there's lots of people coming at him with that one.
Well, he's had all the death threats and stuff because he speaks against the idiots. Call him that. It's like,
Yeah,
and they don't like it, but he
no,
tells the truth.
he calls out people for being sane. I mean, being insane with their mindset, the way that with their actions, right? There's so many instances he brings up of people working against their own interests, but yet in the sort of mindset of virtue signaling or wanting to appear to be virtuous, you do things and let people into your life that are working against you, and there's lots of cases in history of that, you know. So
Yeah, it happens all the time.
it does happen way more than you realize.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yes, I've learned some of those lessons way late in life, like just this last year. Well,
yeah, well, yeah.
I want to believe that all people are nice and good, and I have this little
Well,
bubble I've lived in my entire life.
I think most are, but there's some
I
real
think
bad people out there
so.
too.
Yeah, that's the problem is people don't have the ability to recognize that. Yeah, there are good people and there are evil people. There genuinely are.
And
Yeah.
and
Recognize
here's
them.
the
They don't always present themselves as, "Hey, I'm this evil person you don't want to have anything to do with." But
oh no.
they have
Oh,
ways to
yeah.
deceive you and make you trust them or do whatever. But
Well, and the
it's
other thing about it is, in one very personal case here, I've known this person for years,
mhm.
like years, and I mean, all along, I guess there's been messaging that I just kind of put behind me.
That can happen too. Looking back in retrospect, a
And
lot
I'm
of times.
like, okay, yeah, he wasn't such a nice guy after all. I mean, it wasn't a romantic relationship. But
No.
it was just a person in my life. But it's crazy because he was one of my closest friends.
There's so many really successful people I listen to and some coaches and stuff, and they talk about changing your friends
Yeah.
and being around the people that you need to be around to succeed, people that are doing what you want to do. And it's a weird concept. What do you mean switch your friends out? What-
Well, it's the first time in my life, 1.5 times, that I have had a situation where well, in this case, he ended our friendship very abruptly, ended our friendship, and it really took me aback. Yeah, but it's like now looking, it's been 3 months, no, 2 months. And in hindsight, looking back, it's like he was not feeding my soul.
Hmm.
It was really a drain. And I was being nice, because that's my winning formula, right?
Being nice.
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser,
Empathy.
and I'm a nice person.
Suicidal empathy. That's
There
a
you
perfect
go, man. You're speaking right
example,
to me.
right? That's a perfect example of what Gatside was talking about. It's
Yeah,
hard. I mean, I tend to be the same as you. Try to be nice to everybody. Try to see the good in everybody and all that. But at the same time, you have to look for those signs where they're just in it for themselves before anything else. And everybody does things in their own self-interest, but if you have somebody that's just constantly taking and taking and taking, not ever
Down.
anything,
Well,
that's
Have you also seen, I'm sure you guys seen this, like you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Well, and that's such an interesting thing because one of the things that drew me to the Real Estate Investor Association was exactly that concept, like letting go a little bit of my suicidal empathy, right? Like what I've come to know of myself is that I have kept myself small. And I'm not small,
Yeah.
right? So I'm really I took some big leaps this year in ways too that I haven't done before because I've been playing small and allowing other things to influence.
Have you ever read Think Big, Trump's
Yeah.
book?
I have not.
I
Who
really enjoyed
Think
that
Big?
book.
Who wrote
Smart
it?
Trump, a smart businesswoman friend of mine. She was like, I was busting on Trump, and she's like, "What do you mean you don't like him?" Or she's like, "Read his book. Read this book." I'm like, "Okay," and I've loved the book. I got a lot out of it.
And who's the author?
Trump,
Oh,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Think
Yeah.
Big, Donald Trump. Oh
He
God.
probably had a
Okay.
ghostwriter, helping him write it, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure.
okay. I know.
Anyway,
There's also
All
a guy
right,
that has
I'll try.
That's what I said. I was like, "Ugh," but if this girl's recommending it, and then I read it and I was like, wow, I got a ton out of this. And I called her and she's like, yeah, whenever I like really need to step it up, she goes, when I need to put my big girl pants on, I read this book. It gets me going.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I haven't read that book, but I know enough about his personality and where he comes from and whatever that people don't take advantage of Donald Trump.
No.
He is, I
That's what
think at heart, yeah, but at his core, he's a good person and wants to do good for other people. But when people cross him or aren't aligned with his interests or whatever, he does not, let them get one inch, and that I think that's an extreme example, like I said, like Elon is, but you don't become as successful as they are without having that sort of, very disciplined, look at things. You can tell by the way, Donald Trump's family and all the people in his life that he's had, they all love him. And people who've, worked for him directly, very few examples of people who, um, don't at the very base appreciate what he's done.
Mm.
There's a lot of public figures that will turn against him because it's in their self-interest to do that. And there's, many examples of that in the recent history since he got into politics. But before he got into politics, there was hardly anybody who say really a bad thing about what Donald Trump had done for them.
Wow.
Except for the people that crossed him first. I mean, that's the thing is he will work. He works with people that he wants to work with, and he has that luxury now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to
Lisa. I was too, and
it's interesting to
I
know.
read his words. I'm like, he's got a lot of good stuff to say. He's got good messages. Like maybe I don't hate this guy. I'm not sure I agree with everything he's doing, but
No,
got
you
some
don't
good
have
stuff to say.
Yeah, there's
I
clearly
do
understanding.
I do
Clearly,
think
it's good
there's
to understand people that you disagree with. I
right.
think it's not, I think that's way underrated. The ability for people to understand where other people are coming from, they might disagree with a lot, that is something I think that's underrated. A lot of people
Oh yeah.
just
Well, it's
wanna
it's
hear what they want to
underrated.
hear.
It's not taught.
Well, no, it's not because this the one narrative that the machine puts out is supposed to be the truth, right? So you shouldn't question that in any way.
Right.
That's
Yeah, but
that's the thing
we
that
don't know how to I don't know if we did in years past, but yeah, we certainly don't
well,
know how to listen
you
and
haven't
to have conversation and communication and
yeah if you haven't been, I guess if your eyes haven't been open over the last few years about what's been happening in in our lives, I think yeah, you should try to learn more about it.
not a fan of the government.
The
But we did
government has not
kind of
been
mildly
doing things well.
apologize about killing each other here. So, hey, it's
I know, right? Yay!
yeah.
Yeah, at least we are.
But
All
I
right.
think our
Well, thank you
time's about up.
guys. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rosalind. I know you've been just watching, listening.
She's driving too, so I don't know how much ability she's got to jump in.
Gotcha. Oh, so I
Yeah.
will just say, so I'm going to be traveling for like the next 2.5 weeks. So yeah, I won't be
right.
around much. I'll see if I can hop on a call, but unlikely. Well,
Okay.
I might be at, well, whatever. Anyway, I'll just say I won't be here for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, well, we'll miss you. And have
Yeah.
a great couple of
Have a
weeks. So.
Great
All right.
time doing this seminar, this Amplify.
I will. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate it. Thanks for
Okay.
showing up, guys, and have a great week.
Good luck. Have fun
Okay,
next week.
you too.
Talk to you guys soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.